All right, we're live. All right, we're live. All right. All right. All right. All right. So, yeah, welcome to the 25th anniversary celebration stream of the Phantom Menace. All right, we're gonna for a few minutes for a few people to come in. So, yeah, we will. I'll put this on to while we wait. So, yeah. All right. All right. It's good to see Andrew Helm in the chat. And let's show this. So he says The Phantom Menace was the only legitimate Star Wars film that I didn't originally see at the cinema. It has now been rectified. Good to hear that. Very good. All right. So this live stream, basically just going to talk some stuff about The Phantom Menace, go over a few things, the music and everything. So, yeah. All right. So, well, in terms of the Phantom Menace, I think, there's some, obviously the story is pretty, it's, it's interesting in this movie, where it starts out with the Chancellor sending a couple of Jedi to handle some negotiations on a blockade. And yeah, that's where you're introduced to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and pretty interesting. And you're also introduced to the alien species, the Nemoidians, which they're an interesting species. And yeah, so I think the movie starts out kind of interesting, and yeah, then obviously the since the Trade Federation was basically told to blockade Naboo by the Darth Sidious at the time. So yeah, and they do that. So obviously the Sith want this blockade and all that. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, and we get introduced to Naboo, which is one of my favorite planets from Star Wars. Pretty cool place. I think that would be a good choice if you want to live on a Star Wars planet. I think Naboo is a good choice. So, yep. All right. So the next thing I would like to talk about is and if anyone in the chat has anything to add or share about Phantom Menace, go right ahead. But yeah, so next I would like to talk about the theater experience. Now, I didn't get a chance to see Phantom Menace back when it came out in 1999, but I did have the opportunity to a couple weeks back, and yeah, for around May the 4th. So yeah, I enjoyed this movie on the big screen. It was really cool to see, a Star Wars movie that I like on the big screen. So, oh, Andrew Helm. The movie had to have a lot of exposition, but I didn't have a problem with that. Yeah, it does have some exposition, but sometimes it's okay to have some exposition, especially if it's interesting. If it's like really boring and all that, you're going to lose interest in some exposition. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this movie had to set up the prequel trilogy, so yeah, it had to do some setup. So, all right, getting back to the theater experience, it was yeah, it was fun. My theater was it was decently packed. It wasn't full, but I would probably say about 3/4 full by the time the movie started. Because you always have some late people, as always. Oh, and then we have Masquerade. Greetings, the Walrus Jedi. Hello. Come to have a chat about the Phantom Menace. So cool. I hope you enjoy the chat. So all right. Yeah, so and then in the theater, I thought it was probably the best scenes that I enjoyed the most on the big screen were the pod race scene and Duel of the Fates. And the I guess the other, like the space battle where Anakin's driving around and the Gungan uh, droid battle that I enjoyed that too. Masquerade says a new hope for a new generation. Yeah, pretty much is. Yeah, pretty interesting movie. All right. Yeah, so that leads into the best scenes. So pod race scene. I think that's a standout scene, and I've always enjoyed watching the pod race scene, and I always thought it was very interesting. It's interesting that you know humans aren't super prevalent in the racing of pod racers. So I liked that little thing, and you get to see a bunch of weird looking new aliens, which I think Star Wars always has awesome aliens in it. If you look closely, you can see Quinlan. Yes, you can. Yeah, of course. At the time, he was just a guy in the background. I don't think he'd. I think he was just a guy to fill in some background and stuff like that. But I think it's interesting that they took a character from Phantom Menace and actually like developed him into an interesting Jedi character. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, what one thing that's interesting about, well, it's really any movie in general, but Star Wars has it too, where you notice different things that you didn't before on different rewatches. Like you'll notice, things that background or Easter eggs and things like that. It's always fun to do that. That's why, um, yeah, it's fun to rewatch movies here and there because sometimes you watch the movie for the first time, you're paying attention to the main plot. But if you've seen the movie 100 times, you know the main plot. So why not pay attention to what a background character is doing and seeing what they're doing, or stuff like that. Yeah, it's always interesting. So yeah, and then obviously the Duel of the Fates that was awesome to see on the big screen. Really fun to experience that on the big screen. And I like that duel because it's not, your standard one-on-one. It's two-on-one. So it's a little more interesting, because it easily could have been one-on-one if you obviously just, and obviously at certain parts it is one-on-one, but at least for a part of the duel, it's two-on-one. So that's interesting. All right. You know, and yeah, so and one thing that I like about the prequel trilogy in general is that instead of basically reusing X-wings or TIE fighters, or like basically, uh, I guess you could say like they do like prototype X-wings or TIE fighters. So we like lead into that. They don't really do that. They made new ships. Like the Naboo Starfighter. The Lucre Hulk. Um, the Queen's ship that they get away from Naboo from. Like we utilize new vehicles. We don't just do the same thing over and over and over again. And I like that about the prequels. So yeah, and like the Naboo Starfighter is interesting. It's very different from what you would see in the original trilogy, and which I think is fine because Star Wars is thousands, tens of thousands of planets, and each planet is going to have its own unique culture, and they're going to build ships very differently from other planets. So I think it's fine to have a mix of different looks because you don't want everything to look like it belongs on Tatooine. So yeah. All right. Now let's talk some characters. So a few characters that stand out in this movie. Obviously, Qui-Gon Jinn. He's one of my favorite characters, just in general. But I like Qui-Gon Jinn. Um, I feel like he's a pretty good example of the way the Jedi are supposed to be, in terms of like they're not supposed to just basically do whatever the Republic wants them or says for them to do. They Qui-Gon basically he follows the will of the Force rather than do whatever the Senate says. So you could say he's a bit of like a renegade at this time period. So yeah, and that's partly why I think he's interesting is he's not like the other Jedi. So I think that's cool. And plus he gives us an example of the Jedi how they should be. So I find that interesting. All right. And obviously, you do got to talk about, Liam Neeson bringing Qui-Gon Jinn to life is pretty cool. Yeah, I think he did a good job for the most part. I'm not the best judge of acting, but I feel like he did his job pretty well. Next is Obi-Wan Kenobi. I feel like they did a pretty good job of casting a younger Obi-Wan, and it is interesting to see Obi-Wan as a younger man and kind of see like, okay, he's obviously not the character you see in A New Hope. He's younger and he's a little more, yeah, he's got lots to learn. So, let's see what Andrew Helm has to say. I remember Doug Chang likening the design aesthetic of the ships on Episode 1 as finely crafted ships as opposed to the mass-produced Yes, he did mention that in some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, which we will talk a little bit about later in the stream. So, yeah, lots of interesting designs, and yeah, they look, sleek, shiny, brand new. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's fine to have, differences. You don't want everything to be the exact same. So, all right. Yeah, so getting back to Obi-Wan. Yeah, it was interesting, and we see Obi-Wan, you know, in a different light in this movie, which I find interesting because, Obi-Wan is a interesting character, and it was I think an interesting thing to see him as a Padawan for at least a movie. So yeah, and I think Ewan McGregor did a pretty good job as a younger Obi-Wan. Next, I have Palpatine. Senator Palpatine / Darth Sidious. I He's not in this movie a ton, but that's okay. Uh, I think he does a pretty good job of, he's the villain for the prequel trilogy, and you get little bits of him here and there. He's sowing seeds for the Republic to crumble, so he can obviously come in and take over. And yeah, and yeah, in my opinion, this might be somewhat controversial, but I like Palpatine in the prequels more than in the original trilogy. Um, well, in the original trilogy, he's really only in Return of the Jedi, and he doesn't do very much. He just sits in his chair and watches Vader and Luke, and talks and has some awesome lines and stuff like that. But I like villains that do things. They participate, or they're not just chilling. But it is nice to have a variety of villains. But I think, yeah. But what's cool is in the prequels we get to see him be a little more active, a little more pulling strings and stuff like that. So that's cool. So yeah, and obviously they had to bring Ian McDermott back to play Palpatine. That just makes sense. And yeah, and then let's see, Padme. You have Queen Padme Amidala for this movie. Um, yeah, obviously in the prequels they were going to introduce uh, obviously Luke and Leia's mom at some point, because I think that makes sense. And it was an interesting choice to basically have her be a queen from a planet. So yeah, and yeah, she's an interesting character. She's very active. She doesn't just sit around and lounge. She you know once she gets the boot off the planet, because yeah, I feel like she's plus you have Padme, who's actually doing things. She actually goes with Qui-Gon and Jar Jar and that to explore Tatooine and stuff like that. She's the one that decides to, reveal herself to the Gungans to help gain their trust for their help in stopping the Trade Federation and all that. So yeah, she's an interesting character. She's active. She's not just sitting around doing stuff. So yeah, I think she's an interesting character. So very good character. Oh, we have a couple of comments. Let's see. Masquerade says Darth Maul gets the job done, even though he had little. Oh yeah, yeah, he does get the job done. He's pretty capable, and yeah, we will obviously get to Darth Maul. You got to talk. You can't talk about Phantom Menace without at least mentioning Darth Maul some. But I'll actually let's just do that now. So yeah, in my opinion, Darth Maul I think could have rivaled Darth Vader in appearance and cool factor. He looks awesome. Um, it's hard to say with just his appearance in Phantom Menace if like, well, is Darth Maul cooler than Darth Vader? Well, probably not. But I think if we would have got more time with it, if he hadn't died in Phantom Menace, if he would have been around longer, it would have been cool to see what they do. I know they obviously brought him back from the dead, but well, sometimes, yeah. So it's an interesting character, and I like that it's an alien bad guy, instead of just doing another human that they easily could have done. They went through all that effort and, makeup time and all that to paint him. And yeah, he looks cool. He's very impressive when he fights. And yeah, he gets a lot done with a little. So he's cool. Very cool. Excellent point. All right, Andrew says that was definitely more depth to Palpatine in the prequels. Yeah, yeah, they took a little more time, which I think is fine. I actually think you do need to give Palpatine a little bit more depth, because you know we got to see him more in the the prequels because he's the one that takes over and stuff like that. And that's one thing that you would have wanted to see, like the takeover of how the Republic became the Empire, basically. And I think that was interesting, very interesting to see. All right, the last character I will talk about. Oh, I guess we'll talk about Anakin too, but we'll do Jar Jar first. So obviously, Jar Jar is he's very controversial, and obviously, I grew up with this movie, so I was a kid when I saw this. So obviously, Jar Jar didn't bug me. He doesn't bug me that much. I don't think he's the greatest character ever. And really, I watch the movie now. Most of what he does is not that funny. Um, it's a little over the top. But yeah, I think yeah, I mean it's cool to have alien characters. I'm always going to applaud Star Wars when they do aliens because that's one of my favorite aspects of Star Wars is aliens, and sometimes I feel like they don't do enough with that. So, and it was a new design of an alien. It wasn't just a Wookiee or a Mon Calamari or something we've seen 1,000 times before. They made a new species that I actually think looks cool. I think Jar Jar brings the Gungans down, obviously, because of his bumbling around, but I don't mind the Gungans as a species. Um, yeah, uh, there are a few little things in the Phantom Menace that Jar Jar's doing that's like, that's interesting. Yeah, the only time that I actually laughed with when Jar Jar with I guess you could say Jar Jar antics, it's actually in a deleted scene. And obviously we will talk about that, but I'll talk about this briefly. There is a deleted. It's more of an extended scene. It's the pod race where they're introducing all of the pod racers, and there's one pod racer that's getting introduced, and Jar Jar's standing in front of him, waving around, and he's getting like the credit for that's like he's the racer, and I thought that was funny. But again, like, I haven't seen that 15 times. I've seen that extended scene maybe twice, and I just thought that was funny. So, well, we have a few comments. Masquerade says he's a comic relief character. No problems here. Yeah, yeah, and it's fine to have a comic relief character. So, and Mo, hello Walrus. I love the scene where Jar Jar dies. Yeah, okay. What scene is that where he dies? But yeah, hello Mo. I don't have any real issues with Jar Jar. He was written as comic relief, and he did that sufficiently. Yeah, he did. He did sufficiently. So, all right. Now it's Anakin's turn. So, yeah, get introduced to Anakin. 9 years old, Tatooine, racing pods, and helps. He likes to help strangers. As we see, he helps Qui-Gon in that. So, yeah, it was an interesting choice to go to show Anakin Skywalker as a kid. I don't know if we needed to see that. I think we could have just started it when he was like a teenager, so like already a Padawan of Obi-Wan. Could have saw that, but you know, I don't mind. I've never minded little kid Anakin. I know some people are bothered by it, but it's like it's little kid Anakin. Like again, I saw this when I was a kid, so never bothered me. Uh, there is a deleted scene where Jar Jar dies. Oh, really? Is it in the Phantom Menace, or is it in one of the other movies? Really? Hmm. Interesting. Not like a huge fan of Jar Jar, but he serves his purpose. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's not like my favorite character or anything like that, but he's okay, I guess. Yeah, and the Phantom Menace. Oh, really? Hmm, interesting. All right. Well, maybe I'll have to go find that. Did I? Hmm. Okay. Interesting. Are you sure? Oh well. We should have called him Anakid. Yeah. Yeah. You still could. He is Anakid. Yeah, in Phantom Menace. So yeah. All right. Let's see. What's next on the agenda? Music. All right. So, in terms of music in the Phantom Menace, a few standouts for me would be obviously Duel of the Fates. That one's like a basic answer. Everyone's gonna say Duel of the Fates, but I mean, it's a good one for a reason. It's, I mean, it's good. It's unique. It doesn't sound like any of the other stuff from Star Wars before or after, which is good. And it accompanies the duel, which is always interesting and adds to that scene. So, and another one is, I think it's called Droid Invasion, but it plays during when the droid invasion of Naboo happens. Uh, and they use it in the throughout the entire prequel trilogy. I guess you could say it's a little more famous for when Anakin marches with the 501st on the Jedi Temple. That music that plays. That it's I really like that. Yeah, and there's Anakin's theme, which is pretty good. Um, so yeah. So what are some of the chat's favorite pieces from Phantom Menace? John Williams was an excellent composer throughout the two trilogies. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Star Wars music is fantastic. You could almost pick a random song from any of the six, and it's probably going to be good. So, which is cool. It's pretty cool. I feel like you can't do that for every single movie. You know, so plus I don't feel like John Williams music feels or sounds generic. It's it's interesting. So yeah. Uh, I'll ask the chat this question. Uh, which do you prefer? Do you prefer the music from the prequel trilogy or the original trilogy? Or is it just all so fantastic that it's hard to pick a favorite? Yeah, I would say I probably prefer the prequel trilogy. I grew up with the prequels, but I also grew up with the originals. It's all fantastic for me. So, Masquerade. It still gets me that a father figure like Qui-Gon passes the knowledge of training Anakin to his son figure Obi-Wan to train Anakin for him before he disappeared. Yes, that is true. That is true. Yeah. Oh, it is a shame that Qui-Gon had to die. Would have been cool to see more from him. But alas. Original, but prequels has the most epic themes. Yeah, I can agree with that. Originals overall, but prequels have some. They do. They do. They do. Cool. Cool. Yep. Just it's all fantastic. Yeah. They're all good, original and prequel centric. Yeah, they're great. They're great. They're fantastic. All right. I think that's about it for the music, unless anybody else has anything to add. But yeah, unless I'm missing anything. I don't think so. So next up on the agenda, I guess, is oh, now we're gonna have a talk about the deleted scenes of Phantom Menace. So, all right, now maybe you haven't seen all of these, which is okay. Um, yeah, there. I mean, some are good. So the first one is Anakin's return. Now, and this is basically where Anakin returns. He lands in the Naboo hangar after destroying the Luke or Hulk and all that. So yeah, this one is it's basically just Anakin lands and the other pilots are like, who's the one that blew it up? Who blew up the Luke or Hulk? And then they see Anakin land and it opens and they're like, oh, it's a kid. Uh, Masquerade says, I lean towards the prequels because of the heart wrenching motif. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Out of the three prequels, which one's probably the best soundtrack? I'd probably pick Revenge of the Sith if it was me. Yeah. So, all right. And then the next deleted scene is the scene where Anakin fights with Greedo, because Greedo thinks Anakin cheated in the pod race, and then Qui-Gon comes and basically breaks it up and you know stops that. So I'd say that scene is only interesting because of the lesson Qui-Gon teaches Anakin, rather than yeah. The fact that it's Greedo, I feel like is a little. It feels unnecessary. It's like, hmm, that could have been anybody else, really. But hey, it's a it's an interesting deleted scene. Most of these deleted scenes, I feel like, are they're fine being deleted. They don't add a ton. But there are a couple that I actually wish were in the movie. Next is a scene where Alderaan seconds the vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum. Um, it, it just basically we get to see a little bit more of the Senate, and we get to see uh, Alderaan's representatives uh, participate in the Senate stuff. And then the next one is the battle on the boarding ramp, where Qui-Gon and Darth Maul, they fight on the uh, the ship's boarding ramp. When they're leaving Tatooine, instead of what we get in the movie where there is no fight. There would have been a little scuffle on the boarding ramp. So I mean, it's a little more Darth Maul and Qui Gon Jinn action, which it's like it would have been fun. Um, so yeah, and then the complete pod race grid sequence, which this is the one that I was talking about earlier with Jar Jar. It introduces more racers and yeah, we just get to see a few more racers. Now, granted, the ones that we see in this extended, they're some of the weirder looking ones. Um, so that's always interesting. And yeah, and then another extended scene, the extended lap 2 of the pod racing, and basically this adds more racing hijinks where like Sebulba uh, fires like some flamethrower out of one of his engines to uh, to stop one of the other racers to basically kick him out, and so he can continue. And we also see a scene where some Tusken Raiders are firing at Jawas because some Jawas are coming onto the field to scavenge, and I thought that was kind of funny because the Tuscans are shooting at Jawas. It's a little funny. And then there's another extended scene, the Pod Waste Rager. This is just more deliberation between Qui-Gon and Watto about Anakin and his mom and all that stuff. So let's see, Andrew. I often wish they'd release a DVD Blu-ray of all the deleted scenes reinstalled. Oh, so basically like an extended edition. They would add more depth to the watching experience to the trilogy. I am all for that. I am a fan of that. That is a fantastic idea. Yes, I support that. They need to do that. Um, just add it all. Even if you have to do some, CGI work on some of these more unfinished ones, do it. Do it. It's worth it. I think if you did, a Star Wars extended edition, oh, I think it'd be so cool, and I think it would actually sell pretty well. So that I support that. I support that 100%. All right. Continuing with deleted scenes, you have the next one, which is called "The Battle Is Over." It's basically a scene showing the droids being deactivated, and yeah, it's kind of crappy. It's kind of a crappy scene. It's not that great. Yeah, and then the waterfall sequence where the Gungan sub pops up from there, and yeah, it's gonna go over a waterfall. So Qui-Gon fires a line, and him and Obi-Wan use it to get to shore, and Jar Jar bumbles his way into the water and swims to shore, and then the Gungan sub goes over the edge. So kind of a fun little scene. Adds a little extra. And then the last one is called Trash Talking Droids, which is just some extra droids on the Lucre Hulk towards the beginning of the movie, talking about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon when they arrive. So, yeah. Disney, please take note. Yeah, please take note. Do an extended if they can. But they won't. That's too much effort and money and stuff probably for them to even bother, which is a shame because I think it would be awesome. Be an awesome idea. So yeah. All right. So since we're talking about deleted scenes, what is your favorite deleted scene of the Phantom Menace if you've watched them? Yeah. If you haven't watched them, just say that. And out of the ones I just read, you could say which one sounds the coolest. Obviously, I'm rather partial to the stuff with the pod race. Just expanding the pod race, I think is cool. I'm supporting that, and obviously more scenes with Qui-Gon or Darth Maul. Um, I'd love to. So, very interesting scenes. So, yeah, it's always fun to look at deleted scenes for movies. Because they're usually included in the in like the DVD releases. Probably the waterfall scene. Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. And yeah, I just feel like why not do an extended edition? Like you got the theatrical version that you released in the theaters. Way back when. Why not for an anniversary? You know, you know, add the like if they added all of these, like it would only add maybe like 10 minutes. Yeah, like it really wouldn't add very much. So it wouldn't make the movie much longer, and it adds a little things that I think would plus it gives people a reason to watch it again, to buy it again, and yeah, it's like it'd be fun. It would be so fun to watch it like that. It would be an enjoyable experience. At least I think so. But yeah. All right. Let's see. Yeah, all right. The next thing I would like to talk about are special features, or like basically this is stuff like making of documentary type stuff. Little featurettes and things like that about this movie. It's interesting to watch. You know, behind the scenes type stuff because you learn so much about the movie that way and some of their thought process about decisions and characters and story ideas and things like that. That it's interesting. It's very interesting, and yeah, you get to hear people that you normally wouldn't get to hear talk about, say, like concept artists. Like Doug Chang. Yeah, it's always interesting to hear how they design for Star Wars. Like some of their ideas and that, and yeah, it's cool, and you learn about the filming of the movie, maybe some of the challenges that they had. Like for example, in the Phantom Menace, while they were shooting in Tunisia, for some of the Tatooine scenes, they had a sandstorm and it wrecked the set, and they had to repair it and kind of they were kind of sweating it out because obviously you have a limited time while you're in Tunisia because you have other things to do, other places to go for other scenes to film. So you're only in Tunisia for your allotted time. So, but they managed to get everything in order and repair some of the stuff, like some of the pod racer props were they broke in the storm, so they had to fix those, and so they couldn't film some of the pod race stuff until the end of their shoot on Tunisia. So stuff like that I just find interesting. It's always interesting to see stuff like that, or like some decisions about when they're designing characters or aliens and things like that. It's always an interesting thing to see. So yeah, does anyone in the chat have any behind the scenes related stuff to the Phantom Menace they would like to mention? All right, let's put on a little bit of music while we're waiting. Let's see here. Put on a little bit of that. All right. Andrew says, I really enjoyed the beginning documentary film and the webisodes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. Yeah, it's always fun to see behind the scenes stuff. Plus, you also get some insights on how they just make movies in general. If you have any interest in that, the behind the scenes stuff it's always worth watching. So, and I find that Star Wars has pretty good behind the scenes, special features and things like that. Of course, it's not to the legendary status of the Lord of the Rings, but it's really good. It's really good. Yeah. It's a shame that nowadays they kind of skimp on special features. It's too bad. It could be really interesting. So, All right. Let's see. I think that's. Let's see. Talked about characters, music, deleted scenes, special feature stuff. Let's see. Yeah. All right. All right. Is there? Does the chat have any other interesting things about the Phantom Menace? You know, anything about it? Well, yeah. While we sit here and chill. Oh, I guess we could. You know, this is everything Phantom Menace related. So let's briefly talk about some toy stuff and merchandise. You know, like yeah. So let's see, Phantom Menace stuff. I personally didn't have a whole lot of Phantom Menace toy stuff growing up, but I did have a Darth Maul and I believe a Qui-Gon Jinn. But that would have been about it. I got more stuff around Revenge of the Sith. So, but yeah. So I mean, Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn. You can have some fun times with the Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn. Yeah, in terms of merch. Well, for the couple weeks ago when I went and saw Phantom Menace in the theater, I did buy a Phantom Menace T-shirt because, you know, it's an excuse to get a cool Phantom Menace T-shirt. So yeah, and that new poster that they released for the 25th anniversary, I like it. You know, let's see, I'll pull up a picture of it so people know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, you've probably seen this quite a bit. Quite a bit. All right, there you go. There's the poster. That is what I'm talking about. That I just think, because usually when they release new artwork for anniversaries and things like, sometimes it just looks like garbage. But I actually think this is fantastic. Like, I'm really blown away that they even decided to even put this much effort into the Phantom Menace, because it's got Darth Maul, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, Tatooine, the pod race. Yeah, it's fantastic. Alright, Andrew says, with merchandise, I got a lot of the behind-the-scene books, prequel novels. Oh, yes. Oh, that is one thing we could have a chat. Books. The novelization by Terry Brooks. It's a good read. I think it adds a little bit to the Phantom Menace. It doesn't add like a lot of new scenes. It's not like the Revenge of the Sith novelization that has a ton of stuff and really fleshes out that story quite extensively. But the novelization does add 2 scenes where Anakin, it's before Qui-Gon and crew arrive at Tatooine, so we're getting a little bit of what Anakin's doing, and he's getting some parts for Watto. He has an encounter with a Tusken Raider and survives that. I thought it was kind of interesting. Fleshes out Anakin a little bit. You get to learn a little bit more about him as a character and stuff like that. But the one novel that I feel like really fleshes out the Phantom Menace and just puts it in a new light is Darth Plagueis by James Luceno. You read that book and you see all the little machinations that the Sith, were setting up for everything. It's fantastic. And the Darth Plagueis novel added a lot to Phantom Menace. Yep, it did. That's tons. Fleshes out that whole experience. Darth Plagueis, if you want a book recommendation, that's a good book to read, especially if you're a Phantom Menace fan. It fleshes out Phantom Menace and maybe you're confused on some elements of the Phantom Menace, like some of the stuff, or you don't understand why they're blockading Naboo. Phantom Menace does a fantastic job of why they are blockading Naboo and other things like that. Masquerade says, speaking of which, there is a hilarious moment that Anakin proposes Padme for marriage, but Padme laughs because of it alone. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you're referencing the book, correct? The novelization. Yeah, I think I remember that. It has been a little while since I've in the novel. Yeah. Yep. All right. Yep. Cool. Yeah. I felt like with the prequel novelizations, they got better as you went along. Like Phantom Menace was good, Attack of the Clones was great, and then Revenge of the Sith is fantastic. It's one of the best Star Wars books I've read. It is so good. Which is weird because it's a novelization of a movie, so you would think, oh, I've seen the movie, I know the story, but man, it adds so much stuff. It's a fantastic book. It's one of only 4 books that I've given a 10 out of 10 in videos. That, Kenobi, and Darth Plagueis, and the first Darth Bane book in his trilogy, Path of Destruction. All of those I gave a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed those books. So, yes. Has anyone read Cloak of Deception, also by James Luceno? That one kind of ties into the Phantom Menace a little bit. What are your thoughts on that book? From what I remember of it, it was okay. Yeah, it was. You could say it was focused on Qui-Gon, like he was one of the main characters you're following through the story. But yeah, wasn't my favorite. I actually think it's James Luceno's weakest book that I've read. But yeah. Plus, I think Cloak of Deception and Darth Plagueis, they do cover the same time period. It's just Darth Plagueis also covers more. Of course, Cloak of Deception, I feel like covers kind of the Jedi. A bit of what the Jedi are doing, and then Darth Plagueis is basically what the bad guys are doing. So it's, yeah. Masquerade has yet to read it. Cloak of Deception or Darth Plagueis? Cloak of Deception? Yeah, you should read it. I mean, James Luceno is always worth reading. Darth Plagueis, if you haven't read that, read that too. But, yeah. They're all good, yeah. And if you haven't read any Star Wars books, and you want more Star Wars, read some Star Wars books. They're good, especially if you are a reader. I would say reading Star Wars books adds to the world, and yeah, it's fun. Andrew says the Cloak of Deception was a good read, as with Shadowhunter. They were integrated in Darth Plagueis. Yes, they were. And yes, Shadowhunter is also kind of a bit of a tie-in. Kind of see what Darth Maul's up to before the Phantom Menace. So, yes. And then Masquerade, Cloak of Deception. Okay, yeah, it's it's a decent book. I don't think it's going to be again, it wasn't my favorite, but if you're a fan of the prequel era and kind of Qui-Gon Jinn and some Jedi stuff, and I would say read it. And again, you might really enjoy it. That's the thing, you could listen to 50 recommendations, and if they all say, "Oh, it sucks," you still might like that book. So I even if you're hearing negative things about something, you should at least give it a try, especially if you're interested. So, but yeah, Star Wars books, they add a lot of good stuff to Star Wars. They expand your enjoyment out of it. So that's what I've found. I feel like I've become a bigger Star Wars fan reading the books and playing the video games and stuff like that. So, all right, that went into a little bit of a thing. Yeah. So, anything else interesting about the Phantom Menace? Let's see. I mean, I feel like we've talked about most of the stuff. Let's see. Oh, I guess we could maybe briefly mention some. I don't know. Does anybody have a scene in the Phantom Menace that they would like to change? Let's say, if you could, what scene would you change in the Phantom Menace if you had that power? Let's see. For me, I probably... there isn't a whole lot I would change. Let's see. Would I tone down some Jar Jar bumbling around? Or... I guess you could, if you wanted to, you could just say, yeah, you know what? I think for what I'm going to pick, I'm just going to say expand the pod race. Add some of that deleted stuff back in. That's what I would change about the Phantom Menace. Masquerade. There is Star Wars Small Lockdown, another book I have read. Oh, you haven't read that book? Ooh, I love that book. I love that book a lot. That's a good book. That's it's about Maul. He's in a prison. It's a lot of Maul. Fighting and beating up stuff, and Maul being Maul. So if you're a big fan of Maul, I really liked that book. I liked Maul Lockdown over Maul Shadowhunter. So that I would heavily recommend that book. Fantastic book. Yeah. That one is worth reading. Plus, that book is also a good book in terms of, you could pick it up right now. You don't need to read, other books, because sometimes, when you're reading Star Wars books, sometimes you might need to have read other Star Wars books to get the best enjoyment or to understand things. But Maul Lockdown, yeah, you can pick that up and read it right now if you wanted to. It's fantastic. Let's see, Maul Lockdown is one that I've never read. Oh, well, I will recommend it to you as well, Andrew. It is worth reading. It is worth reading. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, there's some good Star Wars books out there that have been written. And it expands the stuff from the movies, fleshes things out, makes the world and the universe of Star Wars more developed, and just I feel like it's more enjoyable. You explore different planets and species and characters and ideas and all sorts of stuff. It's fantastic. So yeah, apparently this is basically just book talk now, recommending different books and things like that, which is okay. It's fantastic. So yeah. All right. Any other interesting aspects about the Phantom Menace that anybody has? Any cool stories? Maybe a cool experience? Oh, let's do this. What is the chat's favorite scene from the Phantom Menace? Like, what's your favorite scene? We'll do some of this stuff just to chat. My favorite scene. Well, let's see. My favorite scene. Well, I've mentioned the pod race and the Duel of the Fates, so I'll mention something else. Yeah, I just. Okay, I'll pick maybe an unconventional scene that maybe isn't necessarily special, but in a way it is. The first time you see the Jedi Council, the chamber. The first time you see, the 12 masters in the chairs. I mean, that was cool. You get to see and experience more of the Jedi. You get to see the temple, and yeah, you get to see that, and cool alien Jedi and all that stuff. So that's a fantastic little thing. That's what I would pick. Duel of the Fates for Andrew, obviously. That's a fantastic scene. It's good. I enjoy it. Who doesn't? I wonder if there's anybody out there that does not enjoy Duel of the Fates. There probably is. Not everyone enjoys everything, but yeah. All right. Anybody else have any want to say their favorite scene from the Phantom Menace? This has been a fun live stream. It's been pretty fun. Been fun to have a little chat in the chat, talking about the Phantom Menace, 25th stuff. So yeah. Well, while we're waiting for the chat to say, I'll be doing an Attack of the Clones live stream. It's not a anniversary celebration live stream. It's just a live stream to talk about the Attack of the Clones. Very similar to what we're doing here, but we're talking about Attack of the Clones. So that one I will be doing in November. I'll be doing that live stream in November. Mr. Huh says, Phantom Menace is peak fiction for real. Masquerade. I do like dog fights in the Phantom Menace. Oh, so you like the battle scene with the Luke or Hulk and the N1s. Yeah, it's always fun to get space battles in Star Wars. And really, they could do a space battle solo movie. Basically a Rogue Squadron movie. I think that actually would do really well if you did it right. There is a comic book adaptation of the Phantom Menace. Yep, because there's a comic book adaptation of all the movies. Is it good? Does it add things? Masquerade. I have not had the opportunity to read that. Is it worth bothering to read, or is it just? Do you consider the Clone Wars part of the EU, Mr. Ha? Yes, it is. It is. Do I consider it? Right now, yes. However, it does contradict lots of stuff from some of the Clone Wars books and comics, and the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars, which sucks because contradictions, especially big major contradictions, are really annoying. But yeah, I guess of course. I want to rewatch the Clone Wars to kind of see where I stand on it right now, because it's been a while since I've watched it, and I've experienced more of the expanded universe, and I want to see, like, do I still like the Clone Wars, or am I more in the camp of it's pure garbage and I don't like it? So, but yes, as of right now, I consider it part of the EU. Masquerade. I haven't gotten around to read it yet, so I'll tell you. Oh, okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, it's always interesting. Hopefully it adds some interesting things. Hopefully it's not just the movie, but comic book, because otherwise, really, what's the point of that? They're both visual mediums. And now maybe, but personally, I'd rather watch the movie over read a comic book. So I'm a little confused as to, unless it adds things. Like if it adds things, cool. But yeah, I actually do like TCW. Yeah, I like it too. But I need to rewatch it to see. I've experienced more of the EU, because before the last time I watched it, I hadn't read as much of the EU, and now I've read some of the Clone Wars stuff that it contradicts. So I kind of want to compare. I'm probably still going to enjoy at least some of it. So there's that. I'll tell you later about it. Cool. Sounds good. I look forward to that. Just out of curiosity, Masquerade, what was out of in terms of my first my videos, what was your first video? Like, have you been a subscriber for long? I'm just curious. Just passing some time. Mr. Huh. The Republic comics are infinitely better than TCW, in my opinion. I've heard they're really good. And a couple weeks ago I was looking at the covers of some of those Republic comics, and some of them are fantastic. In fact, I could actually show you right now my favorite cover from the Republic. Actually, I would probably say it's probably my favorite comic book cover. So I'll show you. Yep, it's a pretty interesting cover. I really like it. I'm a pretty big fan of it. Let's see, pull it up. All right, I'll just share my screen. I'll share it. All right. This cover. It's issue 75. I like this cover. I think it looks awesome. You know, it's got Oppo Rancisis, which I just think he's a cool alien Jedi. It's the Snake Man, and then he's fighting this dark Jedi Sith guy. Obviously, I haven't read the story. I just, I saw the comic cover and I thought, hey, that's cool. That's cool. I'm a pretty big fan of that. So, yeah. Not a subscriber. Oh, cool. Did you find my channel via this live stream, Masquerade? Well, that's cool if you did. Andrew Helm. I watched the story arc of Ahsoka as a fugitive in season 5, and the deleted scenes and interviews. Oh, you did? Cool. Deleted. Oh, there's deleted scenes for Clone Wars? Okay. Are any of those deleted scenes for the Clone Wars show, are they good, or are they, like... Cool. I do like that arc. The last arc in season 5 where Ahsoka leaves the Order. I do like that arc. I thought it was pretty good. It was an interesting development. I'll ask the chat this. What are your thoughts on Ahsoka? Are you in the camp that she should have died, or are you okay with her living past the Clone Wars and that? So, Masquerade. I've been to your channel for a couple of months. Oh, so you dabble a little bit in the channel. That's okay. That's okay. Pretty cool. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this live stream. And, yeah. So, yep. We're literally just, now we're just talking. We're not even really talking about the Phantom Menace anymore. Just generally talking about other stuff, which is fine. I think that's kind of fun. So, but yeah, in terms of the Clone Wars, yeah, that arc of Ahsoka is pretty good. I'm you always hear people say that the Umbara arc is really good, and is that my favorite clone-centric arc in Clone Wars? It might be. It might be. Speaking of Ahsoka, I'm a fan of Ahsoka, but only as an animated character. Making her a live-action character was a bad idea. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of live-action Ahsoka either. I feel like they haven't done anything really that interesting with Ahsoka in terms of live-action. So yeah. Yeah, you could say that I've become less of a fan of Ahsoka over the years, because I used to be a fan of Ahsoka. In fact, on the video that I uploaded about my top 10 heroes of Star Wars, Ahsoka is on that list. So yeah. But now, if I did my top 10 again, Ahsoka might drop a little bit. But, yeah. We'll get to the Clone Wars once we get to Attack of the Clones. Yes, we could talk more about Clone Wars. Actually, maybe I could just do a live stream at some point where the topic is Clone Wars. Any version of the Clone Wars, whether that's the 2008 version, the 2003, books, comics, video games. I actually think that'd be fun. Uh, so yeah, yeah. All right, we're kind of rambling about other things. All right, so I'll stream for a few more minutes. If anybody has any last minute questions or things they would like to say. Yeah, we'll go for a couple more minutes and then I'll end. So not quite 2 hours, but we're off the Phantom Menace track. So yeah, unless anybody has things to say about the Phantom Menace, we could go longer than that. But yeah, otherwise we'll just end. So yeah. All right. Yeah, I think a Clone Wars live stream would be fun. I kind of wish we get to see more of Anakin's little friends. Oh, like Kitster and Wald, the Rodian, and some of the other ones. That's an interesting thing to say. What would you do if you were to? I guess you could just show him a little more on Tatooine. Maybe you could have had Anakin hang out with his friends for a scene. But yeah. It would be kind of interesting to maybe learn a little bit more about some of them. Like, what did they do? Are they still slaves on Tatooine, or did they grow up and get freed and then go on to actually have interesting lives? That would be kind of interesting to learn. Not kidding. The latter was Seek, Ami, and Mealy. Mealy. Oh, okay. It's interesting. Yeah. There's always things they could have done, But yeah, it's just be a fun, maybe short story where you maybe learn a little bit about them. They could do a short story collection about Phantom, regarding the Phantom Menace, and pick background characters and things like that. Kind of like some of those older tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina and Jabba's Palace, like that, but like Phantom Menace related, because obviously you'd get some of the pod racers, and then you could even get some of Anakin's friends and some other interesting background characters. That's because them short story collection books, I enjoyed them. They were good. I think Ami was the character played by George Lucas's daughter. Which one is Ami in Phantom Menace? Is that the one that tells Anakin that his pod racer isn't going to run? Or is it one of the ones that doesn't talk? Because only a few of his friends talk. You got the redhead kid that says Anakin's going to be Bug Squat and basically that they should go play or whatever. I'm not surprised that those characters actually have names. This is Star Wars. Background characters that don't even get very much screen. They have names. That's very common in Star Wars, which is, always interesting. But, oh, I guess I could just look up Amy. That's the one. Down on Anakin's abilities. Okay. Okay. The redhead is Seek. Okay. I see. I see. Cool. Well, I learned something today. I didn't know that their names. Of course, I've never really had much of a desire to look up their names, but well, that's cool. But yeah, oh yeah, short story collection where we learn about some of these characters. Why not? Why not? It'd be kind of fun. But yeah. All right. I will go till 12 o'clock. I'll stream till then, and then I'll say goodbye for now. But yeah, interesting little topic. So well, it's kind of weird that that Phantom Menace is 25 years old. It probably makes people feel old. Of course, well, it doesn't really make me feel old. It just makes me feel, almost 25, since Phantom Menace is only a few years, or not a few years. It's a couple of months older than I am. So yeah. When Phantom Menace turns 100, a couple months after that, I'll be 100. So I can remember my age pretty easily. I just remember, how old is Phantom Menace? That's how old I am, if I ever forget. Not that I really forget, but you never know when you get really old. You might start having memory problems. But yeah. Very interesting stuff. Well, not a whole lot to mention. Okay. Alright, I think, well, maybe I'll, now we're got 5 minutes. What could I talk about for 5 minutes? Oh, I guess I could give a little bit of a channel update. And so yeah, for this coming week, I'm planning on doing 2 videos. One video will be a book review on the Wraith Squadron book, and then the next one will be a video where I will be kind of strolling down memory lane and looking at my old Star Wars toys and reminiscing. So that's yeah. The Wraith Squadron review will probably be Tuesday, and then the I don't know, toy no, I'll just call it strolling down memory lane video will be Thursday probably. Alright. It makes me feel old. I took my nephews to see episode 2 and 3 in the 2000s. My oldest nephew took me to see episode 1. Well, yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Cool. Alright. It's been a year since I have seen the Phantom Menace. Oh. So Masquerade, you didn't have an opportunity to go see it in the theater, a couple weeks ago? been? Oh, do you mean it's been years since you've seen it? Oh, since when it came out in 1999? That many years, or did you see it when they did the 3D release like 12 years ago, like 2011 or 12? Hmm, cool. All right. Yeah. And then obviously, like I said earlier, I will do one of these celebratory live streams for Attack of the Clones in November. Not in person, no. Ah, okay. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Cool. Yeah, so November sometime. And then, yeah, next year in May, we'll do a Revenge of the Sith one to celebrate 20 years of Revenge of the Sith. So, yeah, you could look forward to that if you so desire. So, yeah. Well, it's been fun. It's been fun to have a chat about the Phantom Menace, the 25th anniversary, and all that. Yeah, pretty fun. So I look forward to doing this again in November for Attack of the Clones. And yeah, thank you to everyone that has showed up and watched and will watch the live stream. Thank you to Andrew Helm and Masquerade, and let's see who else we had in the chat. Mr. Hugh, Mr. Huh, and Mo. Those are the individuals that participated in the chat today. Thank you to all of them in the chat. And yeah, it's been fun. Until the next live stream and video, see you later.